See if I try to move the other comments that they smuggled up in water.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You want 6? Hey, they're from Trinidad.
I don't
One?
know. Anacondas from.
Are we live now?
Side that. Please.
Sometimes.
So there.
Yeah, we only need one.
Yeah, they're okay.
Okay.
We're good sharers.
Yeah.
Apparently. We'll know in a little bit when we go through.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Corporate Services. Moved by Corbett, second by Clark, that the corporation served that the Corporate Service Committee meeting be opened at 7 p.m. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Neri, second by Corbett, that the agenda for the Corporate Service Committee meeting for May 22nd, 2024 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Carried. Any disclosure of pecuniary interests? Seeing that. Presentations delegate.
Adoption of previous minutes.
Easy. Moved by Featherstone, second by Corbett, that the minutes of the Corporate Service Committee meeting be held. Oh, you read that one. Moved by Corbett, second by Neri, that the Corporate Service Committee meeting recommendation. Where did you read that?
Did you get it?
Yes. Carried.
The adoption of minutes.
That the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held May 2nd, 2024 be adopted. I didn't do that one. All in favor? Carried.
May 2nd.
May 2nd.
This says May 22nd.
The
No,
one
I
above
wish
it's
the
22nd. The one above it's 22nd, 182nd.
Were there any?
Yeah, it was
amendments
May
to the minutes?
2nd.
Or the notes?
What's that?
Were there any notes?
With the previous minutes.
So we,
Yeah.
the adoption of the agenda, but I guess there should have been an amendment on the agenda because it said Corporate Services Committee meeting.
Yeah,
When adoption of the previous minutes says May 22nd,
not the second.
Oh.
not the second.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the.
We need to fix that.
Okay.
Just. Take a minute to.
Yeah.
Not your fault there.
By the way.
We'll find a way.
Yeah.
Okay. Were there any amendments to the notes
Well, just what I,
in the
Yeah.
short term or the trailers?
just what I said
Official?
last night.
Yeah, and then the garbage bags.
Okay,
That's,
the number of garbage bags?
Yeah.
Or the trailer?
yeah,
And lot,
The setback.
yeah, the setbacks off the lot lines and the deck.
Okay, so move the deck to 10 feet. All the setbacks are to be at 30 meters.
Yeah, I forgot what we
I
said.
thought we were going to shorten the side lot line.
Or the 30 meters is 100 feet on a 2.5 acre parcel would be
That's-
very,
That's why we shortened the sidelines.
so the sidelines are 20.
15 or 20, that's what we were throwing around that night.
Yeah, like I'm like, I just want like a healthy setback, like.
I think on a
Off the-
2.5 acre lot, I think a 15-meter setback is.
I'm fine with that, as long as it's you're not right beside your neighbor's house.
Right.
What's the bag limit for a household per year?
104.
Yeah, well, for
104.
Vacant land is in the landfill site. Bylaw was 20 or 15.
16.
16 in here.
16 for vacant and for a year.
Yeah.
So we're changing it to 20
To
for
20, yeah,
trailers.
so a landfill pass with a limit of 16 bags per annum shall be issued to vacant land property owners without permanent residency within the boundaries. Yeah, and then shall be charged a rate of $1 per bag. So that one is $1. So we got $1, $1, $2. So because for,
Oh, additional bags are a buck.
yeah. And
I think
for,
we changed the additional bags to $2.
Yeah.
The intent was to change it to $2.
okay, so then,
That's the intent.
okay, so then do that,
Okay,
just to make
so-
sure everything matches.
Yeah.
Yes, because so this one is fine.
Okay, so
Then-
additional was $2.
Yes.
Did we land on how many permits were issuing?
For,
Like,
Yeah.
are we limiting it?
for the short-term rentals?
No, for the trailers.
Oh, for trailers.
Yeah, so it's one per lot size, but then we have like a special occasion license for $10.
No, but are we limiting how many we're issuing as a community?
No, I think what we limited was location, so
Yeah,
none
we
in
didn't
water,
discuss that.
Yeah,
none in the hamlets, so it's
So we're not
really.
maxing it like we were discussing for short-term.
No,
rentals?
because I mean, there's a lot of rural properties, right? I mean, I don't think we should, but
I don't.
No,
either.
yeah.
I don't see a reason to limit.
no,
I think, yeah, we've limited it by geography, basically,
Right.
what we did, right?
Don, sorry, the permit, if you're storing a trailer on your lot. So you have a trailer that you take out in the summer and park it in the parks and that. So you're storing it on, if you have it parked on your property, is that a $600 fee as well?
On a vacant piece of property or where your house is?
Know where your house is?
no.
No.
That's
Okay.
nothing, yeah. But that's a good point. Like if you had a vacant lot here, but you leave your trailer on your vacant lot and then you go to parks and do that, you don't actually use it on your, you know.
Well, it's a really good point, it's just hard to,
Yeah.
that's sorry, my expression is, because how do you differentiate, how do you?
If you have a license, you're allowed to keep the trailer on your vacant property at all times. You can store it. for winter.
Okay.
So- Okay, I'll make those amendments. So it needs to be as amended.
Yeah, everything else was good on the, as far as short-term rentals, as far as I saw.
And we don't have to land on the penalties now, right? Or-
It's good.
I guess we're doing staff reports. Now, do you?
Okay, so for the draft budget, I did provide you a copy of the budget summary by department with revenue expenses and then the tax levy portion for that deficit in there. I did provide the line by line for council to review, if there's any questions on that. So generally speaking, our revenues under general government, for the 2024 budget, if I'm working off of this document here. Our general government is gonna be 869,000. So this is the supplementaries for any building permits or anything that comes in, the bank fees that we earn, any interest that we have, and then all of the provincial grants. There is a 65,000 that is still from a transfer from reserve. So previously in other years, we would automatically take 75,000 out of an operating reserve and put it into the budget. This 65,000 is 15,000 that we put in the reserves for the fire department last year for the bunker gear. So that's coming out, and then the 50,000 is the surplus. So in 2023, you'll hear at the council meeting on the 28th from our auditors that there was a large surplus. And so a surplus is determined by your cash on hand, your changes in your assets, and then any new debt. And you take the net of all of that, and you either have your deficit or you have your surplus. And in 2023, we did capitalize all of our capital work. So Development Road, Pine Lake Road, they were all capitalized, the purchase of the grader, the purchase of the truck. So we have a $610,000 surplus, which is very unusual. But it is because we capitalized all of those expenses that would have been through the budget. But now that they've gone to our assets. So it's changed our value in assets. I did confirm with the auditor, I said, like, on paper, is this an on paper surplus or do I physically have the cash? should we want to spend it? And he said we physically have the cash. So when I went to look at the bank, so all of our investments are still in place. So we did have investments of gas tax in 2023. And then we used $500,000 of the gas tax, but we didn't actually take it from the investments. So that's still cash on hand. So we used it from the reserves that were the extra in the bank account. And we still have that extra in the bank account at the end of the year. So the last time I checked, which was just last week, was 1.4 million in the bank. And then the most that we ever spend per month is about $650,000 that's like on a quarterly, when we have all of our quarterly payments, we need 650 in the bank to make our bills. So we still have that 600,000 in there as well.
So what would we have operationalized though? Like, it's unusual to have such a big surplus. So what would we have, because all of the things that went to capital were cap expenses, right? So
So typically on a gravel project, like 250 on Pine Lake Road, when you're just laying down gravel, you typically would call that operating, not capital. But because our roads don't have a great deal of capital or gravel on the roads, and we're laying a full level layer of gravel on it, then it's a capitalized. If we were only putting 2 inches down, that's operating. Same as development,
right,
yeah.
we're gonna have a gravel program now,
Right.
and that's operation.
Right,
Okay.
yeah, so those will be operating. But if we have major projects, then they get capitalized in. So we did capitalize everything in 2023.
Okay.
Even development road surface retreatment would not typically, that's just, you're just maintaining it. But again, because it was in poor condition. Kind of like start from scratch, which we're doing again.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
they will be back to fix on the development road right now is still under warranty, so they will be back to fix that.
Yeah, like I said to the resident, was that last week
yes.
at our meeting? Yeah, it's under warranty and like I said to him, like I spoke to Don Corley down at Kid Road and they assured us that they'd be back to do the warranty work and bring the road back up to par, so.
And sorry, did I hear we're starting like, you're gonna be doing big chunks of it almost from scratch? Or is it one?
I meant one here for that. I can fix that one.
Okay, thank you.
What do you think we spent in fixing development? Since it's under warranty between staff and time and
Whole patch.
Like, so the section that was done last year,
like, what's our cost in their warranty?
like out of pocket, I'd say right now we're just staff time as well as cold patch. We're about 2 loads of cold patch so far this year.
8,000.
So yeah, we're about, I'd say around the $10,000 mark, 10 to 11,000 in total.
How quickly are they coming back over here from them?
No, I'm still waiting for a follow-up from their management to come and do another site visit. I know they were out here about a month ago. They came out to do a quick site visit, but I'd like to meet them and kind of discuss what they're planning on doing.
And that's not reimbursed cash for us, that we.
No,
I mean, you really can't do, we really couldn't do too much too early because, I mean, spring thaw and stuff.
I have to say though, the coal patch. You've done a good job of the coal patch because you're not hitting holes on there. I know it's bumpy and I know it's far from perfect.
Mhm.
But I've been driving around and I see that the patches have been done very well and on Trump Road where I told you that one spot.
yep,
That was all taken care of and on Development Road. I know that people would like it to be much smoother but at least there's no holes, but the patches have been done.
Well, and the problem just didn't come overnight. It's been a problem for a long time, so it's gonna take a little while to fix it.
That's
yeah,
correct.
no, that's one of the biggest things, right? Like, we can't just fix it overnight. We don't have the resources or the money.
The money,
essentially, right?
yeah.
Like, it's
No.
quite a big bill when it comes to road work, so.
But we have a plan.
I have a bit of a summary up here for the budget, if you guys want to follow through on there. So in the department budgets, which we're kind of getting to. For general government, like I just went through on the last column here, it's 2024. So our net on the general government is about 300,000. This includes the impact levy. I did take our levies and put them in the categories that they belong for departments. So the things that we're looking at doing that are additional this year are the website, redoing the website, the septic system. So we do have somebody coming in to do a septic design. We're meeting with them in the last week of May. And then that design will kind of tell us, because we would prefer to have weeping tile as opposed to just a tank.
Yeah, we don't know.
But we don't know that that will be feasible, given the topography and the water table, so.
And we're thinking about future, like if we had to do something here, make this bigger or whatever, we have to think about the future as well.
Yeah,
right?
none of them. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, they can always do a raised bed, right? I mean, it doesn't have to go in the ground, have to be a raised bed because the water table. The designer will
Ours
figure
is
that
only
out.
this.
It's
Okay. So we're working on that, and then there's some new staff training that we're doing, we staff taking the AMCTO courses for municipal administration. Some for finance as well. But generally, so in this is also the capital levy, so every year we put a capital levy into the operating budget. So this year typically it's been 130,000, and that's in here, but this year I increased it to 145,000. So 50,000 of that would be for development road from Mount Pleasant to making that line, so pulverize it. If we need a little bit of gravel, that'll be determined after it's pulverized. And then we will be calciumed, and then our staff are going to ditch it and brush it so that it can get ready for resurfacing in 2025. So that would be the plan for that section. Also in that 145, so 95,000, or let's see, 90,000, would be for a gravel program. We don't have any capital projects that we need to bring forward in this year, so we can use that 90,000 to start to do a gravel program. On a road, I believe line 3 was the priority road.
Yeah, that was one of the top priority roads we had, so.
We'll start to lay some there, and or it might be that, and then a little bit in different sections of the road.
Yeah, so essentially like our hills, corners, that sort of thing, where most of our washouts are problem rocks and stuff like that. I'd like to get some depth on the road. That way too, we're not hurting the grader when we're out hitting rocks, that sort of thing, so.
So that's included in this general government as well. Then I think that is it under the general government, or what's in the budget. Under protection to persons and properties, we have the fire budget, just again, the operating, so it's the fire response. We talked about at the last meeting that there's new rules for hours and vacations, so we're attaching those to the two, to the fire chief and the deputy chief. And then once we get into that, we'll offer it to both of them. So that's included in this increase as well. Insurance actually went down because there was a fire rider for firefighters. And I asked the chief if that was still something that nobody has signed up for it in a number of years. So I asked him to make sure, and there was no one who did want to sign up, so we didn't pay for that this year. We removed that, and then there's emergency management, which does include the increases for the radios. So that's to fix the public works and the fire radio that we have here in the office. So that's generally what's happening in the fire department. Under the capital budget in the fire department, because I don't have the capital budget on this presentation, but capital budget, part of that surplus is 50,000 that we originally had in the operating budget for the SCBA's.
Yeah.
But if we take that from the surplus, we can do it through the capital budget, and then that has helped reduce the operating budget. There you have. So that's in there. Of course, that reserve that we're bringing back, that 15,000, so there's 30,000 for the bunker gear as well in this budget, in the fire budget.
And what do we do for the SCBA's? next year, you're out.
So the fire chief is working on a report that he'll bring forward, on the timelines and what that looks like. So right now we have, I believe there's 10 that would be able to go in. He thinks he can bring that number down to 6 or 8. And then that will reduce it. He has been able to borrow some tanks from some neighboring municipalities, so that has helped us get through 2024. And then with this is the year that the standard changes as well, so then there'll be more information known and see what the prices look like for 2025 and 2026.
He was trying to do like a 4-year succession plan.
Yeah,
like,
no.
Instead of buying one.
Mhm.
And we're on track for that, so, right?
Fire chiefs.
Well, yeah, because we have had no spending for 2 years or something, so.
And they're on track for the bunker as well. I know they've been working on that. Getting sizes and inventories. Staying under protection of persons and properties, the policing budget is here. So our revenues and our expenses, revenues are essentially just the ride grants that we do get. They generally do balance out on the expenses. So our net cost on all of our protection to persons and property is what 702,000. That's how much is in our levy for that department.
It's gone up significantly.
That's 15 grand. Oh, then come 6 weeks.
Yeah, but even from 2002, the difference from 2002.
And then public works in the budget there, so operating again, our office expenses, the winter patrol, park maintenance, our licenses for our pits, coal patching, dust control, gravel, brushing, sweeping, pitching, vehicles, streetlights. I did take, because the capital budget with the surplus will allow us to purchase the backhoe and the excavator that we wanted to purchase. We can purchase them right out using the surplus funds. So I did take out the 21,000 for brushing and 10,000 for ditching that we had in the operating expenses. So I removed them because of the.
We're paying ourselves, right? We're essentially renting the equipment from ourselves. That starts now too, right? Once we get it.
What? I haven't done the machine time calculations yet to start in 2024, but in 2025, we talked about putting in that we would be paying ourselves back for that.
Yeah, so we're not starting that this year?
You know, that's,
Okay, okay.
I have not budgeted for us to start that, so I can look at what that looks like in the numbers.
Yeah, maybe even if it's not the full, but we
Well,
can maybe
even-
start putting a bit away.
Even if we
right?
could have seen
Yeah.
what the payments were gonna be and what those would be.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, because we would have that calculation, right? The payments.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah.
we know what the payments are based upon the total after trading value,
Right,
so
right. Yeah, and then put that away, that's not a bad idea.
it just depends what percentage we go through at, right?
Mhm.
So, but yeah, no, that's
I budgeted that we would do the purchase in 2024 and in 2025, we would start to do those payments. Also in public works, with the purchase of the new equipment, we'll be able to do a lot of the ditching and the brushing. We're going to do the bridge study for Trunk Road Bridge. So there's every 2 years, we have to do a study on bridges. That's mandatory. And then on top of that, this year, we will do a environmental assessment for the trunk road so that we can have everything ready. The study done, the tender done, so we can do the replacement in 2025.
Are we seeking grants for that?
Well, there are no infrastructure grants available right now for general roads and bridges. But we will have the money in reserve for it.
Yeah, sometimes if you have a shovel ready, it's amazing, it falls off the back of the truck.
Yes. Yeah, and we are also working this year, we have our engineer working on the plan for Railway Mark and Church and Gonding, so that we can have another shovel ready project. And start applying for that.
Yeah,
big plan.
if it'd be nice if there's funding for that, 'cause that's gonna be a big ticket item.
Yes,
We should start doing delegations.
yes, soon as I have the.
Yeah.
The project plan done. Yeah, then we can do those delegations.
What email's next, right?
in August.
August. and-
Yeah, but I think the delegation stuff has to be in early next week. Or the end of next week it has to
Well,
be in.
who's going to emo?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
but I'm
yeah.
just,
Is anybody?
I don't know,
Yeah,
yeah.
but even if we don't go to
Some of it
email,
don't,
we
yeah.
could still do a private delegation and
Yeah.
and ask to meet with.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, again, it's the gravel program, so we did increase the public works budget as well. And you'll see that from that line to line one. We've increased the gravel program, so last year we went from 70,000 to 120,000.
but you're talking stockpile.
There's a stockpile.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think we determined that we would need 120,000 for stockpile.
Yeah, that's what, because the numbers that we had were based on, I think, 150 in total, and then we did the math and it came back around 120.
And I think this year, sorry.
And I mean, it's, the more you start fixing things, the less gravel you're gonna have to use for wash it.
And that's, and like our gravel pile that was there from last year, like when I first took over, like we ripped through that pile pretty quick, kind of trying to
Yeah.
bring up some of the soft spots, right? So,
And once you bring the roads back into shape, you will start using less of that, your
Yeah.
stockpile.
Yeah, so in 2022 for the stockpile for the gravel account, whatever stockpile or the gravel, in 2022, only 66,000 was spent. In 2023, we budgeted $120,000, and in 2024, we're budgeting $150,000. And then next year, we plan to go to 170, so it'll increase of 20,000 each year. And then hopefully that will get us to the point where we have a gravel, it's gonna take 10 years or more to get to where we can have a permanent gravel program factored in. But when we don't use our capital levy, then that fund can go to gravel as well. You know, the roads are number one.
But we will use the portion of that money that we have, or the amount that we put aside for gravel, right?
Yes,
We will still use a portion of that this year,
yes.
the gravel.
And to offset the that $30,000 increase on the gravel program, we've taken 30,000 from the OCIF funding that we get. So that will go in there. So 30,000 goes into our operating budget and 70,000 will go into our reserve for next year's capital projects. In the gravel. And last one, we did talk about the tools as well. Cemetery are just general operating. Last year, we had a project for the fencing, and I believe that it was done, but it's just a continuous project. The cemetery. Environmental services, so the landfill revenue, 129,000, that's a one-time revenue that we're leaving in the operating budget. We were going to use that to purchase the backhoe and the excavator, but we don't need that, we're in surplus, so we've left it in the budget to help offset this year's expenses. These are one-time revenue.
Yeah,
So that's between 50,000 from the surplus and this 100,000 will give us 150,000 of one-time revenue in the operating budget.
and is that from the remediation, like the tipping fees or?
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Okay, and so do we need that to offset the operating budget? It's like, why wouldn't you
Here's-
put
it's a
that
fair-
away, right?
It's a fair question
Found money,
because,
man.
well, and my concern is, so we have one-time money here. Like and then we're gonna start paying for the backhoe and paying ourselves for it, we're paying for it next year. Like, it's great that we have a lower, I mean, it's not super low, 3.9. But like, we're in for a whopper of an increase next year because we're not gonna have that one time, we're now actually gonna
Yeah.
start making payments on to ourselves, but of the backhoe and the excavator.
And
Like, are we setting it, like, should we be bridging those two, like, looking ahead one more year and go? Well, if it's 7% this year and 3.9 now, should we just kind of meet in the middle and then be like? A little bit this year and a little bit more next year as opposed to all at once, that's
Yeah,
I cut to the chase, so sorry. That was my question at the end, but I spit it out now.
That's a fair question, because we've talked about it as well. Do we go, I mean, we did have a large surplus in 2023, so there is the sense that we should be giving some of that back. There should be a return to the residents, whether that is in the form of decreasing the tax rate this year, the tax levy this year. Which could mean a very large increase next year, still, like a 5 or 6% next year. Fair question on how we do this, so. We can increase a little bit. This money won't be there. I don't know what 2025. I mean, I did a projection for the next 5 years, and it looks like we're around the same expenses. The same levy amount that we'll need in the following year. We need to really work on increasing revenues.
Yeah.
This year with the user fee bylaws, if I can just summarize the whole thing, but the user fee bylaws, we've passed them, but we haven't got a full year to know what that means for us. So 2025 will give us a better idea of what that revenue looks like. So,
And we shouldn't have any recycling costs in 2025.
correct.
Because-
Yeah.
That's circular economy, but let's see.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I forecasted at 50% of the current costs.
yeah.
Because we shouldn't have costs,
Yeah,
but we
well,
will still have some for that 3% that's non-eligible. So,
But what if we split the difference, right? Like I'm all for kind of saving for a rainy day too. Let's not spend it all this year. If it's, I mean, it's still considerably lower than last year, and then levies are gonna go up, so they went up 2%, 2.8% this year, right? All the levies, that's what that
Right.
accounted for, so we've accounted for that next year as well.
yes. Yeah.
But yeah, I would think it's prudent if we didn't put that all into this operating budget.
Last year we had to contaminate it and we put the entire amount into reserves.
Yeah.
So our landfill site reserve is actually. It's doing well.
Okay.
and
We
So
don't know, I mean,
generally-
it went from like 50 years to 20 years, right?
yeah, it's at 50 years, but I
Yeah.
mean, all that contaminant we've taken in is still stealing airspace from the landfill. So I mean, we are gonna be able to use it for cover down the road, but I mean, it's still, there's a
Yeah,
cost to that.
and it's time consuming process.
Right.
It's-
The only thing I would say is we should still be kind of leaving something there for a rainy day in case a compactor comes up
Mhm.
for sale that, we can afford. Because that'll save our landfill huge. Like, yeah, the number, it really does make a huge difference.
So maybe that should kind of like, in line with the training program and doing the roads ourselves, that should be like #1 on our wish list, right?
Well, because we don't. Right now, we're just covering with a bunch of dirt with the backhoe. I mean, the excavator's gonna help with that, but it still doesn't have that weight and.
No, it's nothing comparable to a compactor.
Right, I'm just saying, like, for looking for the future, a compactor should be
Yeah.
to preserve the landfill. The airspace is huge, like, I just, it floors me every time how much that landfill moves.
Well,
every-
why can't we use some of that? For the-
No, we could put that into.
Well, but we gotta wait till
into
we find a deal.
Yeah, Yeah.
So I'm hearing that we don't, okay, so if I don't go through all the budgets, because I know you guys have read them, but. So we are sitting at a 3.9% increase. Overall, it's a 3.4 between all of the tax classes. 3.9 is the average for the residential. If I take that out. We'll be closer to 5.
So, if we look at the budget from last year, like our total expenses. Actual versus what were projected this year, what's the difference? Our actuals to 2023 and our projected 2024.
So this is the risk of doing the budget before we actually have our financials. So I do not have the final numbers for our last year. Based on the accounts that we have, last year we budgeted. $4,764,000 and. And coming in, I think we're closer, I don't have the number on here.
So here's it's overly simplified the math, but if we look at the actuals from 2023 compared to what our projection is for this year for expenses. If we had a $600,000 surplus, that would mean if it's less than $600,000 increase in our operating, it's a 0% tax increase. Because that $600,000 surplus would still be a surplus this year if our operating expenses didn't change, we're still gonna collect the same amount of money.
Yeah, because we. Yes,
Mhm.
Right, so,
But that being said, right, if we're looking at like specific projects like the contaminated waste and that sort of thing from the landfill, right? Like last year you guys had income from that, correct?
Yeah.
And then this year as well, but they're like, that's the only thing that's kind of a gamble. There's no guarantee.
last thing I want is a 0% tax increase,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
aggressive,
No,
that's not what I'm advocating,
No.
what I'm saying is. There might actually be additional room left there to keep the levy at a reasonable rate, still invest in projects. Because if we're starting out with $600,000 surplus, which if we're comparing apples to apples, we technically would be minus, I know our expenses go up, so. What's the difference between our actuals and our projected?
so without having year-end journal entries and having that done, in our accounting system, we spent $4.3 million of the 4.7. And that will change because I don't have the final accounts. For the,
4.3.
like group benefits and.
400,000.
It's pretty close, yeah.
So that's a surplus, right?
So 62.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Part of the 600.
54,000 would be 2%, right? Of the 3.9.
Yeah, generally
So-
31,000.
How much is it compacted? Roughly?
Depends.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean, we're not putting the whole shot in now, so but if we start saving, more,
Yeah.
right, so if we put 1%. And with the 32,000.
I mean, you're looking anywhere from 250. Or, I mean, depends if we can.
Yeah.
32,000, we're
Keep in
gonna.
mind
Well,
that-
you gotta start somewhere.
You find one for that, let me know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we just gotta shop around a little bit, that's all.
So do you want to remove, do you want to add 1% back in so that we can put that into the reserve for the landfill?
I would vote
Is
for that.
1% accept, like, is that the number?
Yes, sure, I'm not opposed to that, I think my challenge is, what I wanna know is, what's our projected surplus if nothing changes? So,
Mhm.
out of the 600,000, like, where are we really starting? Because
I won't know until I get the final.
I know.
statement.
Yeah.
so to do a budget like this, you would typically go off the premise that you spent every penny you budgeted for last year. But if we had a $600,000 surplus last year, we're ahead of the game starting this year, so let's play with that, figure out. Cause if not, we're gonna do 5 or 6% tax increase or 5% this year. And we're gonna have a surplus again next year, at some point, we have to be responsible to. Either, there's lots of investment that needs to happen, so I'm not saying it's irresponsible to do it, it allows us to do a bit more gravel.
Yeah, yeah.
To do a bit more of the projects that our constituents are asking of us.
And we got big stuff, the bridge.
Absolutely.
But we can't have a large surplus every year, that's.
No,
not-
no.
Budgeting.
What I'd wanna do is make sure that we have an aggressive. Gravel program or up the gravel program, so if like we end up with a surplus, like annualized surplus. Quote unquote, like that's just a more investment, right?
I think too, hopefully, with the new equipment, that's gonna save us money as well,
Okay,
right?
yeah.
Oh, big time.
Yeah,
Like-
so I mean, we're not even factoring that.
Office repairs.
Yeah,
And then
yeah.
contracted services as well, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right off the get-go, we're $31,000 back in our pocket.
Exactly, exactly, so I mean, we are sitting pretty good.
So the only other.
And that's
Yeah.
helped keep the tax rate for this year as well, right? Because we have removed. Some of the operating.
Yeah,
expenses.
yeah.
And other than the road repair, and that's all we're looking at. A huge cost, right? Because pretty well all the equipment at Public Works then is good.
Yeah, like I said before, the only issues we have right now currently are with our backhoes. The trucks, like they're getting up there in age, but they're still working fine. It's not like they have crazy mileage or anything like that, right? So,
Not for the plow.
no, plow truck.
Oh,
Our
Yeah.
plow truck is.
But for the most part, yeah, most of our equipment's in good working condition and
Time you get rid of the two backhoes, you only have the grader left and it's.
it's
new.
brand new, yeah.
So-
And it's on a good maintenance program, so.
Yeah, we've started
Yeah,
to
yeah.
pick that up, so.
I mean, the only thing we should be thinking it towards is we're gonna start paying for this equipment, so we're gonna need
Yes.
money out of the budget somewhere for that.
Yeah.
We just have to find a happy medium where, you know. Kind of by the hour, but cap it out somewhere, so.
But we should be using the savings to help pay for that, right? So,
Well, yeah, you're at 3.9. All things equal. Would, if not this year, next, because we're buying the equipment this year, give us a surplus next year. Cause 3.9 would keep us up to what our expenses are. We're taking a big
Yes.
chunk, investing it into
Mhm.
that,
Mhm.
but it's still gonna be that surplus. Next year then, because we still collect that amount of taxes.
But you will have extra costs in fuel and you're gonna be burning more fuel and.
Yes, yeah, I did. increase
but that's all.
Fuel hasn't
accounted
gone down.
for, yeah.
No, fuel is not cheap.
I think I went from, I added at least another 20,000 for the fuel. To carbon tax. Projections from the year, so.
Yep.
I put that in. And I think like all the staff have been working. To really look at all of our accounts, like when we started the budget process in December, we went through each account line by line and. Like bill by bill, and we were like, okay, so do we need this one, do we need this, what's this, and we have found. Some things that we've just been able to cancel right away, like
Oh, there-
subscriptions that we've been able to.
There was quite a few things in
Yeah.
that first week we sat down.
Yeah.
That it was like not using this or stuff that we just didn't even know that we were paying for, right?
Yeah.
Because it's never been looked into,
Mhm.
so.
Yeah,
Well,
and they're gonna keep.
It's been
tightening, right?
survival mode for a very long time,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we've gone through that and there's been a number of those expenses, the monthly expenses that we've been able to cancel, and there will be more that come. As we continue this year to say, okay, so what do we use this for? And
And this
And not-
takes
and
into
canceling.
account all the wage increases too, right? Because we are in bargaining.
yes, so this does, yes, it does factor in
Potential.
Yeah.
any potential increases.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah, I would be for at least 1% taking out, not spending all of it to reduce the operating budget.
So then that would make it a 4.9%, but really, when you get your actuals back from last year, when you close the books. We might end up being like, okay, well, even from everything we said we're gonna spend, we're gonna end up with X number of dollars more if we do 4.9%.
Mhm.
Than what our expenses are.
I don't think that so much of our operating was cut back to the point where it's gonna give us another huge surplus in the next year. Like, so to get the 600,000 would be like saying that we taxed for 3.5, but we only spent 2.8, but we spent 4.3. It's because we put. Like our assets went up, we did well on investments, we were doing really well this year on collecting back taxes. So our cash and our assets are going to continue to increase.
It's catching up though. right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's gonna catch up, so, right, so the more we do this, the more defined our budget will be, so.
Yes.
And
Yeah, because
accurate.
what we budget is what we are going to spend, so.
Yes, because the budget that I presented, other than the 2 one-time influxes, because we want to stop doing the 75,000
Yeah.
reserve right off the
Yes.
top. We want to
Yeah.
stop doing that.
Yeah,
So this year we put in the 50, so we've already reduced that by 25.
but the 50 was for the SCBA, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so that it wasn't to
Then we
offset
have to
the,
do it.
right, so it wasn't to offset
Taxes.
the levy though, right?
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
so,
And then it's just the one-time revenue for the land.
Yeah.
So we can reduce that and then we can do, so we get to a 4.9.
Yeah.
And that's essentially where it comes. It's it will come from, but essentially like the rest of the budget's very lean.
mhm.
Like it's, yeah, it's a wire.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with 4.9, honestly, like nobody likes tax increase, I wouldn't, like, nobody's happy with 2% truly, but like, hey, listen,
Yeah, but
if
that-
we're,
yeah.
like. Reality is reality, so 4.9, I think we can all, or I would be comfortable speaking to constituents as to why.
And take a look around, everybody else is higher than that.
Yeah, and again, 2 point whatever was from the raise in levies, right? So so when you take that away, it's not even,
Right.
so.
I know when I was at Phnom, they were expecting some of the northern communities as at 11, possibly 14, and I'm looking at that, and I'm quite happy to have the budget, the increase that we're looking at.
Especially, how much did your property assessment go up this year? Oh, wait, it didn't.
Oh, yeah,
Right,
yeah. Yeah, so.
Wow, bad.
Yeah,
Our optic growth, and I think I put that in part of the package as well, that our optic growth did result in like $68,000 more in tax collections for 2024.
Our growth did?
Yeah.
No, that's really good.
yeah.
That's really great.
That's some good growth. And all of the permits that were taken out in the previous year, they will come in during probably the fall of 24 and 25, so there'll still be some growth that we're experiencing, but I don't think we're doing the same
It's no
amount of,
plateau, yeah.
yeah, we're not doing the same single family dwelling
Yeah.
permits that we have been in the past to where we are now.
And what are we at now for the building permit?
We'll have to check on exactly. I know for sure 4 houses, but
The more the better.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Some really nice properties for sale, as we went for a walk, right, Greg? Like vacant properties for sale, but
Vacant land or?
just Begonia's got a couple listed properties up off Greenwood, thank you.
Riverside.
Yeah,
Riverside, yeah.
There's 5 severances down on Allen Lake Road, so I've added the 2 with the 2 lots are in progress right now to put some houses there. A lot of neighbors.
So Tiganius has these properties, why are they not building?
Cause they're waiting for a buyer.
They
Yeah.
have to come buy the property.
Buy the property and then build the house to suit them?
Yeah.
Yeah, they sell it, because I was looking into it, they sell a package now, right? So you either purchase the property and get your own, or purchase the property and you can go through Degania and they'll put a package together for you.
So in no communities, they're not building houses and then selling finished houses?
I mean, there's probably some, I mean, some builders like to do spec house, cause then they don't have to deal with clients, right?
And of course, people's got quite a few.
Yeah, I mean,
The
there are
built to
some,
suit is kind of
Because-
cool, right?
Because other communities have given discounts on permits and stuff like that if they're building and producing a finalized house.
yeah, I don't know.
There's 2 new houses put up in the subdivision, eh?
Yes, yeah,
Like Moonbeam and like places that are far away, right, far north, like they are for builders, they're like waiving or lowering a bunch of fees to build a bunch of homes quickly. Obviously, to take advantage of the tax revenue,
but
right?
yeah, I mean, cause we're not getting anything from the Ontario government, if we build a bunch of houses, we don't qualify.
Well, we don't know because
but nobody
but they haven't come out with the criteria yet, so I'm still holding out that
But we
to wait
asked,
and see,
well,
but
you asked.
I did, and the answer was no, but when we.
Oh, it's not done yet.
I'm not done. They haven't even put out the criteria, so how do we know? And if North Bay got to use their long-term care beds or homes as part of their housing
I
stock.
think they've changed
Then-
that since then.
Oh,
oh,
cause I remember
is
you
that
asked
off
about
track?
the
Yeah.
seniors housing, they said, nope, doesn't qualify, but like you said, there's no criteria.
There's no criteria yet, so that 10% that they had put away for rural communities, so I'm keeping my eye on.
So essentially, the rest of my,
You're like, I was just kidding, say, we're like, you just, let's get there.
through the budget.
Yeah, we all-
Glad you guys went through it.
we all were at it,
So- So I will change it. I had hoped to get this on the May 28th meeting. I don't believe I'll be able to do that. So it'll go to June 11th.
You don't believe in the May 20th?
Well, no, because I have to have it done tomorrow and I'm off tomorrow.
Oh, well, that's a problem. Fair enough.
It's my birthday.
Hey!
I remember this one last year.
I know, I worked on my birthday last year.
Happy birthday, here's a budget.
Yes. Okay, the one thing I did find interesting when I recategorized how we, instead of just doing it the way that's in your package, that the healthcare and well-being Like, that's a huge piece of our budget. Between our expenses at the medical center, then the health units have and all of the other levies just for healthcare and well-being, it's near $1 million.
Yeah.
Wow,
Same.
yeah, that's crazy.
Yes.
That is crazy.
And as much as the province is supposed to offset, they're not offsetting to that. Like, the most we get for our partnership fund is $690,000.
Yeah.
But the expenses are closer to $1 million, so. Nowhere is it cost recovery from the province to us,
Yeah,
as it was intended to be, so.
so it's
Independent.
It's almost like 70%.
400,000 on our net budget, net for us.
Yeah. Yeah, and all the other stuff in there, it changes now, so I'll let that go. We'll change it to 4.96 with the landfill, that's all we'll take, and then I'll go through all the object calculations to make sure that works, and then I'll have it ready for June 11th.
Right?
Okay,
That'll give lots of time for people to get feedback from this live online,
yes,
Yeah.
so they can watch
Yeah,
and read
and
and.
go through it, all of the
Yeah.
documents are online, so.
Yeah.
yeah, we're passing to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Give them plenty of time to.
Yeah.
Call the mayor.
Yeah.
So we're not doing.
No.
So what do we do with that?
Defer it. We should read it and then
Okay.
defer it.
Moved by Corbett, second by Neri, that the Corporate Service Committee recommends the draft 2024 operating and capital budget to the council for adoption. Be deferred. All in favor? And then we're gonna go to Alex.
So. So the report to Corporate Services Committee for the equipment replacement.
I was gonna give you my back. I can tell you what's up.
Oh my God, I couldn't read out fast.
So whereas the Corporate Services Committee received reports on the replacement of the backhoe and excavator on March 22nd and April 11th, 2024, with quotes for a new backhoe and excavator, and further that the committee received this updated report on May 22nd, 2024. Now therefore, the committee recommends to council that the purchasing of new equipment, a backhoe and an excavator, from John Deere, allowing for standardizing the fleet with 2 new pieces of equipment from the same supplier. The Corporate Services Committee was presented with an equipment replacement report on March 6, 2024, whereas the Public Works Manager suggested replacing the existing 2 backhoes with a backhoe and an excavator to allow for more in-house work that can be done on the township schedule. A further report, along with quotes and equipment specifications, was presented to the committee on April 11th, 2024, with a suggestion of purchasing through multiple suppliers, Case and John Deere. The committee was open to the purchase with borrowing funds from the township's reserves and paying it back over a shorter period of time with interest. Staff were instructed to bring a final report forward in May. The final low quotes received were for the backhoe, the John Deere 2024 320P backhoe loader with an extendable dipper stick has a machine price total of $217,000. After the trade-in of the currently owned 2015 Case backhoe at $50,000, the total price is reduced to $167,000.
Excuse me.
The second lowest quote received was from CAT at $191,000. CAT also has not provided any trade-in values. 2, excavator. John Deere quoted a total for a 2023 135P excavator at $291,000 plus taxes net of a corporate promotion province-wide of $54,000. After trading value of $20,000 for the 2004 Case 580 SM backhoe, it brings the price down to $271,000. Case also provided a quote close at $271,200 with a trade-in value to reduce it to $236,000. Upon review of such things as specifications, service locations and mechanics, trade-in value, corporate incentives, parts availability, delivery time, and vastly experienced customer service, It is recommended by the Public Works Manager that both the backhoe and excavator be purchased through John Deere equipment. With purchasing through a single supplier, it would allow the department to interchange parts and fluids for both pieces of equipment, as well as have the same certified mechanic perform any maintenance, repairs, and warranty work that is required on both pieces of equipment. Comparable to other suppliers, John Deere has a mobile mechanic located around the corner in Corbeil. After receiving the quotes of the equipment along with trading values, John Deere came in the highest with $20,000 for the 2004 Case 580 SM and $50,000 trade-in value for the 2015 Case 580 SN. This was a total trade-in value of $70,000. The next closest quote received for trade-in value was $20,000 less at a total of $50,000. John Deere also stated that they can deliver the excavator by the end of the month and the backhoe by mid-June. This is a quicker delivery time than most for equipment, allowing the department to perform scheduled work quicker and without the delays of breakdowns that are happening all too often with the age of the current departmental equipment. In dealing with CAT and Case for current equipment needs, delays in both service, parts, and communication have been experienced within the department. That being said, we have not yet to deal with John Deere for service, only for parts ordering in the past, which has went well. So options for consideration. Council approves the purchasing of this new equipment through John Deere as the supplier, which would keep both pieces of heavy equipment the same brand, therefore allowing for easier fleet management with such things as parts ordering and suppliers, required repairs, fluid changes and mechanic work, both warranty and maintenance. 2, council approves the purchasing of this new equipment with a backhoe purchase from John Deere and an excavator purchase from Case, like previously stated. 3, council chooses to not approve the purchasing of equipment from any supplier listed here or in the previous report and approves the required repairs to both the 2004 Case and 2015 Case backhoes. And number 4, council chooses to review purchasing of equipment from the suppliers listed and hold off on any major repairs that are required to both Public Works Department backhoes.
Right now, what kind of repairs for that? What are they looking at for value, dollar wise?
We'll put a price tag, like we're pretty close to $25,000 without getting into internals. Like this is just stuff that kind of we know needs replaced before it turns catastrophic.
What kind of grader do we have?
We've got a cat grader. Yeah. Cat never submitted any trade-in value quotes for either pieces of equipment. They did an inspection and they kind of gave a rough estimate, but nothing was submitted on paper.
I'm okay with number 1.
Yeah, I'm fine with the recommendation. I mean, I think I've stated it before, but the business case is really simple to make on this, right? So I mean, the savings we're gonna see not having to contract out services, that we have a manager of the Public Works Department that has run the sticks before and can train individuals in our staff to be able to operate it appropriately, to maintain the equipment appropriately. I think it's time that we invest in the equipment and invest in our staff to get the work done within the community. So.
And yeah, I mean, I agree 100%, and you can do it on your time frame. I mean, if something pops up, you can.
Yeah, we're there.
You can pivot and go that way and deal with it with your own equipment,
Exactly.
not waiting on a
Not waiting
contract.
on a rental or delivery time or that sort of.
Right. I'm good.
Is there a way to communicate this? If we need to put this out, maybe on social media to say that we've got a program or something coming or once all the stuff is in.
I know the newsletter is coming out in July. It's very focused on all of the budget information that's going out, all of the plans that were planned for 2024, or projections are for 2025, and it does have stuff about.
And I know, like Nikki and I spoke about it before, like our plan of attack, right, would be to kind of split up into the worst areas. Hit them first for brushing and then ditch them and then kind of, you know, complete the job and then move on to the next one for that road section, right? So
I think we need some kind of communication, social media to put the schedule out there, say this is what we're doing, so that people know.
And that's, I think, the same thing along the lines of like what we were planning on doing for calcium. Because
Yes.
we have booked our calcium to be delivered, for dust suppression. So we were thinking of letting residents know that, you know, on the sixth, right, we'll be
Yeah.
on these roads
Yeah.
doing dust suppression.
That's a
On
good
the
idea.
seventh, we'll be here, right? I mean, it's weather dependent.
Yes.
But, I mean, as of now, it is scheduled in and those are our plans,
Yeah.
so.
And then within the next year or two, the guy that does roadside brushing stuff, he's retiring, so then. we
We're
would-
in good shape then.
Well, you'd be scrambling to find someone.
Yeah.
And then, because he does give a good price, but I mean, if somebody does step in there, they're buying all new equipment, which the price will be a lot higher. So it is the right move to get our own brusher and start taking care of our own stuff.
So the motion reads that we accept the staff's recommendation.
Yeah, it'll be moved by Clark, second by Featherstone. Whereas the Corporate Services Committee received a report on the replacement of the backhoe on March fifth and April 11th, 2024. With quotes for the new backhoe and excavator. Further, that the committee received the updated report on May 22nd, 2024. Now therefore, the committee recommends to council that the purchase of new equipment, a backhoe and excavator from John Deere, allowing for a standardized fleet with 2 new pieces of equipment from the same supplier. All in favor? Carried. Is that it? Got anything else?
Everybody was good with the capital budget as it was presented? It's.
Yeah, so when we do a post, telling people that we just spent 500 grand on equipment and raise their taxes, it has to be super simple. To be like, here's where we're saving the money, we're expecting to save money, that our old equipment needed this much in repairs, that, you know, we usually outsource this much in work in a year, so we're expecting to save that, we're saving this. But very simple documented lines to be like, look, we did spend 500 grand on equipment, we did up your taxes, but in the long run, here's what we're.
Well, and fair point, but. You know, if they watch previous meetings,
They're not going to.
no, but I'm just saying, we have shown that we spent $100,000 on 2 old pieces of equipment. And the spending isn't gonna stop, so.
And that's why like super simple
Yeah,
graphics
yeah, no, I agree, just.
for social media. Nobody's gonna look at these giant reports on, well, very few people.
Yeah, keep it simple, I agree.
Because I think you're right, I think it's the price of the equipment and over the next 10 years.
It's not, well, and that's the other thing, right? Like from when we first initially got quotes to now, like the prices even gone up on.
They're gonna go up. for
And
sure.
it just keeps
But
going
they're
up.
gonna honor those votes, right?
Yeah, no, yes, yes.
If we pull the trigger now, 10 years from now, if we look at
Yeah.
2 different variations. These 2 pieces of equipment are gonna pay for us.
They'll pay for themselves.
Are the warranties included? Yeah, are the warranties included?
I knew exactly what you were going to ask.
I mean.
I panicked.
It's a warranty, but we did not get extended warranty.
No.
No, but we are gonna have an aggressive maintenance program. as
Yeah, and
well,
that's, and
so-
I know I've talked about it before, but I just wanna congratulate like our public works staff. They have been on top of doing their circle
Yeah.
checks and keeping on
I'm
top of
excited for
things
them,
that
I
need
think
replaced, so.
the training is gonna be great.
I think it'll give them too, like a greater sense of pride, right? Like it's new equipment. Everybody's gonna be kinda
Well,
excited about it, but it's gonna be, you know what I mean? There's rules in place for it and
like I said, I've already seen the workmanship on the roads,
Mhm.
a huge improvement already, so.
I agree.
Me
I
too.
agree.
like staff have been doing well.
I go and check all the time.
Like you have 5 inspectors.
Yeah.
Now that you're semi-retired.
Yeah,
just
yeah.
go drive.
Yeah. She's
Uh,
fine.
but Also with the, not only the cost of, to repair the equipment, it's, you're also the downtime that you're going, that your staff is not working and,
Well, and there's been quite a few jobs recently where we've traveled pretty far to get out to the job site and not any operator error, it's just the equipment decided, you know, it's gonna blow a line or. The pump's gonna get clogged, like that sort of thing, right? And where you're kind of stranded on the side of the road and I've got all our staff there ready to work, right? So. It is a bit of a pain, but I mean, with new equipment, I can't foresee that happening,
No,
so.
And outsourcing is huge.
Yeah.
Like we spend a ton.
Prices
on
are,
that.
price per hour now.
That's gonna get worse.
And I think too, being a smaller municipality, to bring everything in-house, we're gonna save a lot.
All of the other surrounding municipalities are doing it. They're all buying excavators and
Yeah, I just don't want
Yeah.
people saying, holy crap, they increased our taxes and bought more. equipment.
but even with that
It's
increase,
gotta be,
right, but even with the increase, we're still lower than pretty much everybody else around.
Well, and we
You're
removed
saying
those
just
last.
justifiability.
Yeah.
and on top of, with respect to the motion that we passed, I think, not the last council, but was regarding the insurance where you have the contractor. And then they expect the
You're responsible
municipality
anyway.
to say that insurance on top of that now, so. That's outsourcing as an additional expense for
If
sure.
we're gonna be responsible, we might as well be doing the work.
Maybe we'll do it right on.
Yeah,
Like, if we bring in contractors, Alex would have to sit there and babysit anyways, so we might as well do it.
Yeah,
Well, it's a good thing.
and did we get an accurate park reserve?
Okay.
Do you know an accurate park reserves?
I have the information, but I don't have it off the top of my head.
And did we start a quote for the cement pad
no,
or for
I,
the East Shore?
It's on. I know cement we talked about.
cement, so I've got all the measurements for the courts and stuff, and then we were also looking into. Getting rid of those nets and doing the crankdown nets inside the arena.
Yeah.
But no, I don't have any final numbers right now, like, we're still in the process.
And then the exercise equipment is finished?
No, so we've not sodded, but we've topsoiled and seeded around the play area. I'm still waiting to hear back from the company on when they can come put the canopy up.
Yeah.
But I did speak to them about the exercise equipment splash pad, and they said if we're willing to do the work, we could just bill it back to the company and they'll pay us instead of them having to come back out here to do topsoil and grass seed and all that stuff, so.
What we saw,
Yeah, we could do that, like,
We get the money.
like it's
first,
been
though.
2 years, the least they could do is not have us spend half summer trying to grow grass.
Right.
As kids are. Climbing all over, it, right?
And I haven't been down to the splash pad, it's running and the water stays.
So we
in
were-
the pad.
no, that's the other half. So we were down there today and gave it another like test run after staff cleaned or attempted to clean off the iron residue from the pad. A lot of it came up, but there is still quite a bit of stains, but it looks like the outer concrete isn't on the correct angle to keep the water within the pad.
And that's after being fixed.
Pardon me?
And that's after being fixed.
Yes,
And are they paid in full on this?
Yeah,
I believe so. Yeah.
and there's no warranty or anything on it.
Not that I know of.
So now, just like I said last year, we're gonna be stuck with this problem.
Are the keys all up there?
There was a couple down there today, but it's not like there's gaggles of keys.
Not
There's-
yet.
Stay tuned.
I mean, the goose problem's a simple issue, just put up a little fence. I mean, that, like, next year, the year after, we budgeted to put up a little 4-foot fence. And it keeps the geese out.
They fly.
I know, but they're not flying over a fence, Donna.
they just walk around.
Yeah,
So I mean, yeah, fence with a gate. Keeps the geese away. But I mean, we're never gonna do nothing with the iron. You're welcome to the north. You have iron in the water and that's.
well,
what
no, I mean, in a perfect world, the filtration system would be great, but the cost
Oh, yeah.
associated with that,
You probably never get a filtration system that's gonna handle that kind of water.
not that flow, no.
So I thought Dan had a fantastic idea, and I don't know if you were saying it tongue in cheek, he's like, you just changed the pad to red. I'm like, yeah, that's what you do, and then at least, like,
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
there's nothing unsafe about the iron, it's just not ugly.
No.
Yeah,
It's not slimy, it's not.
Yeah,
slippery,
I
it's
just, you just
red.
so if you made the pad red, it would just blend in,
Right.
and then it doesn't look like our splash pad, which is a year and a half old, is 80 years old,
Yeah.
which is what it looks like, right?
But I mean, I've been to Calendar and their pad is, and that's city water. It's got
this-
iron on it too.
And they have.
Yeah, but we're better than you.
Sure. Come on. But yeah, I mean, if it was me, I would put it red, put the pad red and be done with it.
Oh, and also, so now that we're talking about the pad, I know it was brought up at the town hall about it being recycled tires.
Yes.
No, it's not.
No, I said yes, I remember.
I reached out to the company. It's a polymer based epoxy acrylic
Okay,
that they blend together. It is not recycled tires.
tires, yeah.
So
That's-
just to set the record clear on that.
Yeah, good,
No steel sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And perhaps because they still weren't able to fix the water spilling out issue, maybe we can try and get a red something, like, we're gonna have to do something on
Yeah.
that for sure, but. Worth it to come.
So,
Hopefully-
Yeah, what's on the top of the splash pad? Is it like a, is it rubber, is it a mat?
it's it's essentially like a 1.5 inch pad. The bottom's glued down on top. So it can be peeled up and switched out.
I mean, it's something to investigate, especially with all the problems we're having, them not coming back, still not, draining properly. Let's see what they can do for us.
Yep. Bye, Rivera.
No, I mean, we shouldn't be dealing with these issues on the pad. I
No.
mean, there's a thing out there called the transit, the laser level.
I know, yeah, this is crazy.
Mhm.
I mean, and it is something that is nice to have for the kids. We have to make it nice so that they want to come and get splashed on.
And there was an issue, I know, with water running over the pathway
Yeah.
as well down here.
Yeah,
We've got it in our calendar. We've bought the corrugated pipe, the drains and stuff, so we're gonna make a drainage system so that there isn't water backed up at the walkway.
yeah, because there's a nice little mud,
So yeah, the
Mud.
walkway down towards the soccer fields as well as in between the exercise
Playground,
equipment
yeah.
and the splash pad.
Yeah.
So there's 3,
Slightly this side of the change room too,
Yeah.
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Between the play structure and splash.
and splash pad, yeah. But
We'll get it
that's-
fixed up.
At our costs.
We're not talking about that right now. Budget meeting's over.
did we adjourn?
No, not yet.
Oh,
You wouldn't stop.
sorry.
No. Moved by Featherstone, second by Corbett, that this meeting be adjourned at 8:12. I'm going with the mayor.
Go
All in
with that.
favor? Carried.
There we go.